A warm welcome for Melissa, everybody.
So it's a cold night in November, and I am standing in about 3 inches of freezing water at the edge of Pine Creek in Etna. Thank you, Alan. I'm down there in the woods in the dark, and I am holding a hollowed out half grapefruit that I have stuffed with a few flowers and a candle and a few scraps of paper that say things like imposter syndrome and fear of not being good enough. Now, for everybody else in Pittsburgh, this is Veterans Day. But for me, and for millions of people in Thailand, this is the life-resetting, psyche-clearing, sacred holiday of Loy Krathong. Now, I love Loy Krathong. When I moved to Thailand, I knew nothing about it, but in the years I lived there, it became my favorite day of the year. It is literally the fresh start holiday. When Loy Krathong comes around, out of the blue, all these vendors show up on the street in Bangkok, and they are selling these little krathongs. They're these little boats made out of banana leaves, and they've got flowers and a candle, and they're beautiful. And you buy one, and on the night of the holiday, you and all of your neighbors, like the entire city, turns out. And picture it, it's a beautiful, warm, tropical night. There's stars overhead, and you go out to whatever body of water is by where you live. You go to the big lake in the park, or you go down to the river, and you take a moment and you ask yourself, what am I ready to get rid of? What habits do I have that are totally not serving me? What thoughts just get in my way? And what am I really ready to forgive myself for? And because it's Loy Krathong, you think about that, and maybe you do write some of that down on a little piece of paper and you tuck it into your krathong. And when you're ready, you go over to the edge of the water, you light your candle, you put it down on the water, and you just let it go. And you literally stand there and physically say to the universe, okay, I am done with this. Whether it's the water that devours it or the candle's flame, I'm ready for you to get rid of this for me. And it's amazing, like literally your entire neighborhood has done this on the same night, and the next day, everybody starts fresh. So when I moved back to Pittsburgh, I didn't want to let go of this. I had found this and spent years doing it, and I was not gonna stop. The challenge, as you could probably imagine, is that in Pittsburgh, generally, there is not a day in November where you suddenly find people on the street corner selling krathongs, and they don't sell banana leaves at Giant Eagle, so it's hard to make your own. So the first year I was back here, I figured I had to improvise. I had to find a way to MacGyver my own krathong. So I went to Giant Eagle, and I looked around in the produce department, and I'm searching for something that will float like a boat, and I see this big grapefruit. And I'm like, work. So I buy it, take it home, I hack it in half, hollow it out, and I get this thing ready. And I knew, because one of my kids had played baseball at this little field in Etna, that behind this field, there's this long little dirt path that goes down to the creek. And I figured, that's kind of a secluded place for me to do this, because instead of being in a big crowd of all my neighbors, I'm gonna be alone doing my ritual. And I don't know, I mean, is it legal in Pittsburgh to float a flaming piece of citrus down the creek? I didn't ask anyone. When I walked down there that night with my son, there was a guy sitting on a bench smoking a cigarette, and I didn't talk to him, he didn't talk to me. I'm not sure what he thought about what we were doing, but in the November wind, I struggle and I light my candle, and I walk far enough out on the rocks into the water till I really get to the spot where the current's kind of moving. And I put my krathong down, let it go, and I watch it float off, and I wonder, like, could it make it all the way down Pine Creek to the Allegheny? Could it make it to the Point and to the Ohio and to the Mississippi and all the way to the Gulf of Mexico? I don't know. It's a grapefruit, probably not, but I'm ready, and I'm determined this year to really get rid of some of the stuff that I just don't need to be carrying anymore. So I went home feeling so much lighter, and I don't know, does this ritual actually have some kind of sacred significance? Does it do something? Or, I don't know, maybe it doesn't even matter, because what I think it's about is it's like an act of hope and an act of faith. You go out there once a year and you say to yourself, I am ready to get a little better. I am ready to move on from this stuff. And I am gonna go out into nature, and I'm gonna put a little hope out into the universe, and I'm gonna see what happens. So for as long as I live in Pittsburgh, if any of you guys are interested, you will find me out in the woods in Etna on a November night. I will have my Krathong, I will be all full of hope, and if you guys want to come, you can. You've just got to bring your own grapefruit. Thank you.
Anyone out in the woods in Etna is full of hope in November. Let's just be clear. There's nothing else to be full of. That's such a beautiful tradition. I'm Jewish, and we have we honestly, this isn't a joke. There's something similar like on Yom Kippur. It's like the Day of Atonement, and I think I have this right. Like you throw breadcrumbs into the water. The breadcrumbs representing your sins to go away. So it's a very similar kind of thing. And it's also similar in that you get to go to Giant Eagle and look for your culture's stuff, and they don't have any of it. One of my favorite pastimes around Passover is going to Giant Eagle and asking the teenagers who work there where the matzah is, and just watching them go.